Luo Xiaohei, the latest operator to get isekai'd to Terra. I feel sorry for you, my boy, you got the short end of the stick. Of all the places he got isekai'd to, he landed in Terra, a land infested with rock cancer where there is no cure and everyone is always angry at each other. At least you found safety in Lee's detective agency. On the bright side, you get Xiaohei for free. No wallet draining gacha needed, and unlike 9-color deer, he's actually pretty good. Some players like to compare Xiaohei to Aren, but the real question is, should you build Luo Xiaohei, or should you just go with Aren, who may or may not perform better than Xiaohei in certain areas? Fun fact, Xiaohei's voice lines are different between his Elite 1 and Elite 2 art. In his Elite 0 and Elite 1 art, Xiaohei is just meowing, while in his Elite 2 art, he speaks like a normal person. This voice changing effect also happens on Mudrock if you switch between her E0 and E2 artwork. Luo Xiaohei is a 4-star range guard, also known as a Lord Guard. This is my favorite guard archetype because of the versatility that it offers. Range guards can attack long range, short range, and even aerial targets. However, Lord Guard's range attacks only deal 80% of its total attack. When comparing to Xiaohei's stats to other Lord Guards, his attack is pretty average and his defense is okay. Having a low defense is a bit concerning because as a Lord Guard, their task is to hold down lanes and should be able to take a few hits. But Xiaohei doesn't really take hits too well, so he might need some assistance, which will become useful for his talent later. Xiaohei's talent, Executor in Training, inflicts critically wounded effects on enemies. This used to be a mechanic exclusive to Saga, but it's nice to see it expand to other operators. Enemies that are critically wounded remain at 1 HP, their movement speed is slowed down, and they die after 10 seconds. If you think about it, Xiaohei is basically giving them a slow and painful death. This skill, however, has one major weakness. Since critically wounded enemies can't be blocked, Xiaohei can't be deployed next to the blue box because 10 seconds is enough for the enemy to slowly crawl towards it. Not to mention that Xiaohei lacks a skill that allows him to eliminate critical wounded enemies, which he could have used to charge his SP. But if an ally operator kills a critical wounded enemy, they are granted 2 SP if Xiaohei is Elite 2, ultimately making him an SP battery. Remember that for this to work, Xiaohei needs to cripple the enemy first. There will be occasions where the enemy is killed before getting crippled and missed out on the SP bonus. But that's hard to control and depends on which operator you use to deliver the final blow. In the end, it doesn't matter how you kill the enemies as long as they're dead. Do you know what's not hard to control? The like button. If you like the video so far, don't forget to give it a like. Alright, thank you, let's move on to the skills. Xiaohei's first skill, Tail After Image, turns him into a cat. His attack range is reduced to 4 tiles on each side and attacks all blocked enemies. Additionally, he gets an attack speed buff and some physical dodge. This skill is ideal for fighting against weak mobs, but struggles against high defense enemies due to the lack of an attack multiplier. At this point, you're better off using a Centurion guard like Estelle, or Blaze if you have her. The dodge is decent and provides some survivability to Xiaohei, but I would not recommend relying on it because of its RNG nature for defending. One upside of skill 1 is that it makes for a good SP battery skill. If you can group up enemies together and kill them off all at once, you can basically supercharge any operator's skill. Although this is very situational and depends on the layout of the map, but it is still doable. Xiaohei's second skill, Broken Blade, gives himself an attack buff. His range attack is no longer reduced, and he also attacks one more target. Additionally, enemies below 50% gets attacked twice, and Xiaohei ignores a flat amount of defense. Overall, it's a very solid skill, offering higher damage output than skill 1. For tougher enemies, you need another operator to reduce its HP below 50% in order to unleash Xiaohei's full potential. It does require some preparation, but having that extra damage bonus is worth it. Without external assistance, Xiaohei's skill 2 doesn't last long enough to apply a critically wounded effect on tough enemies because 20 seconds duration with a 35 seconds cooldown, that only gives you a 36% skill uptime. You might notice that this skill is very similar to Aren's skill 2, as Aren deals arch damage, ideal for high defense and low res enemies, while on the other hand, Xiaohei's skill 2 is ideal against low defense and high res enemies, like the ones you found in chapter 9. For skill mastery, skill 2 is the best option. It increases the attack buff and the amount of defense ignored, but unfortunately the skill duration is capped at 20 seconds, which is a bummer because Xiaohei would greatly benefit from a longer skill 2 duration and allow him to take down tougher enemies. Skill 1 on the other hand does not offer that much of an improvement. A reduction in SP cost would be great since this skill is a toggle that switches Xiaohei's fighting style. Luo Xiaohei is ultimately a range guard SP battery. When done correctly, you can take advantage of the critically wounded mechanic to supercharge an operator's skill. Xiaohei lacks the ability to take advantage of the critically wounded mechanic and almost always requires another operator to deliver the killing blow, which takes up a slot in your squad. The real question is, should you build Luo Xiaohei? Maybe. It depends. If you've been playing for a few years, you are most likely to have built one or more Lord Guards, and using Luo Xiaohei in the story mode would be a downgrade. Unless you are the kind of player who restricts oneself to a 4 stars only. If you're just starting out and want to add a range guard to your team, Xiaohei is a great starting point if you don't have Arin. I think Xiaohei has a great potential, especially in IS game modes, because as a 4 star, he and Arin together are cheap to recruit, and a good alternative to, say, Thorns and Silver Ash. I would probably not use Xiaohei in most stages because I already have Thorns, the best range guards in Arknights. But you know what Xiaohei has that Thorns doesn't? Those cute big eyes.